Lately, there's been a buzz about whether the United States is really going to bring the world back to the gold standard. Going back to the gold standard would mean completely reversing the world's monetary policy, basically backing every dollar 100% with gold. So a lot of questions have come up, like, is this really going to happen? How could they even do it? What's the evidence that America actually wants to return to the gold standard? How would they go about it? And most importantly, if they really did go back to the gold standard, what would the price of gold be? Could it really hit $10,000 per ounce? In this video, I'm going to show you different pieces of information, what's been happening all along, and what's currently fueling the buzz that the United States might back every dollar with gold again. I'll also show you the calculation method from Mike Maloney's Gold Silver channel, explaining how it could be possible, and I'll break down how they might do it and what they would gain from it. There are quite a few numbers in this, with some addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, so pay close attention. But don't worry, it's not too difficult. If you'd like to support this video, you can do so via this QR code or just hit the subscribe button. That's enough. I know some people will say, I really love this, I've already subscribed. You don't have to hit subscribe every time you watch, just once is enough to support me. Thank you. The reason I'm bringing up this topic is, first of all, because I want to know, if this really happens, could the price of gold actually reach $10,000? How would that even be possible? And now there's this growing buzz that Donald Trump wants to change the world monetary policy to bring it back to the gold standard, or in other words, to back the US dollar with gold again. Some people are saying, hey, is that even possible? If they do that, the dollar will be in trouble. Well, yeah, it would be a big deal. But the fact that that doesn't necessarily mean the United States would lose out. This has become a hot topic, especially right now as negotiations are taking place between the United States and countries around the world. That's because Donald Trump posted on social media on April 20th saying, the golden rule of negotiation is whoever has the gold makes the rules. Donald Trump has always been quite fond of the gold standard. You can see this going back 9 years ago, during his first term as president of the United States, when he gave an interview with GQ about it. He said that bringing back the gold standard would actually be a good thing. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Bringing back the gold standard would be very hard, but boy, would it be wonderful. We'd have a standard on which to base our currency.
Right now, in the midst of all the news about tariffs and trade barriers making waves around the world, and with everyone suddenly paying attention to trade tariffs, don't forget that before the tariff news blew up, what was making headlines before that was the issue of the gold reserves at Fort Knox, the 8,000 tons of gold at Fort Knox in the United States. Donald Trump and Elon Musk were the ones who tried to push the Fort Knox story out into the news before the tariff news exploded. That's why, during this period, the Fort Knox news just faded away and people stopped talking about it as much. But the fact that Donald Trump brought up Fort Knox before the trade tariffs hit the headlines, there must be a reason for that. There has to be something behind it. So let's put a pin in that for now. Recently, Scott Bessent, the US Secretary of the Treasury, gave an interview to the media. He said that, well, the world is going to see a major shift in global monetary policy within the next 2 to 3 years. He also mentioned that what's likely to drive this change in world monetary policy is gold. That's because gold doesn't cause fiscal problems. It doesn't lead to budget deficits or allow for oversized governments. And gold doesn't lead to wars either. Gold
is not a fiat currency. For the most part, it doesn't, but mounting acceptance in recent nights and after buyers in the your case aging, the yield king keeps gold value up.
So are there any other hints that suggest the United States is likely to want to bring gold back to back the dollar? I've actually talked about this before in the video New Crisis Out of Gold. In that video, I discussed the methods and how, right now, the United States has Since 2024, as I mentioned, the United States has been buying an unusually large amount of gold. If you look back, starting from 2000, in January, February, March, and April, the US has consistently been buying a lot of gold. This was also during the time when Donald Trump was president of the United States. And if you go back and watch that video, I'll show you a short snippet from New Crisis, Out of Gold. You'll see that I pointed out how different countries have been buying gold from Swiss refineries. If you track it from 2023, you'll see that the countries that have been buying a lot of gold are, for example, China, India, and Turkey. Then it alternates with other countries, but for the most part, it's been China. Until, as I mentioned, in December 2024, suddenly it was other countries. At Swiss Gold, no one else was buying large amounts of gold anymore, and the two countries that bought a lot of gold from Swiss Gold were United States and the UK. You can see that in December 2024, the United States, which hadn't really bought gold from Swiss Gold at all since 2023, maybe just a little bit, they bought a lot. In December 2024, the United States bought 64.5 tons of gold for their reserves. Then, moving on to January 2025, you'll see that no other country bought any gold at all. It was really dry. Only the United States was able to buy gold from Swiss Gold, and they bought 193 tons. Then in February 2025, the United States bought 146.8 tons of gold from Swiss Gold. In March, they bought another 104.3 tons. Yeah, and they actually managed to do it. They made it so that other countries could hardly buy any gold from Swiss Gold at all. But that doesn't mean other countries can't buy gold for their reserves. They can still buy from other sources. It doesn't have to be just from Swiss Gold. Now, here comes the point everyone wants to know, the question everyone's been asking. What does the United States have to do to be able to use gold to back the dollar? Is it by buying gold like this? Hey, is there really going to be enough gold available for them to buy that much? Or is the US going to buy not that much at all? And to back every single dollar with gold? That's not really the case. And there's another question I'll answer at the same time. If the United States wants to use gold to back the dollar, how could the price of gold reach $10,000 per ounce? I got the calculation method from Mike Maloney's Gold Silver channel. He explained that if we want to know how the US could back every dollar with gold at 100%, we first need to look at how much is $1, really? Mike Maloney said to look at the currency in circulation. So I checked that number. Currency in circulation, or the total amount of cash circulating, means all the money, whether bills or coins, actual physical cash that's moving around in the US system. This doesn't include credit, just real cash. So let's see how much currency in circulation the United States actually has. This information comes from the Federal Reserve. According to the official financial data from March 2025, the United States currently has a total of $2.365 trillion in currency circulating throughout the system. This means that if you wanted to back every single dollar with gold at a full 100%, you would need to have physical gold worth $2.36 trillion. Now, let's take a moment to do the math for $2.365 trillion. Let's set that amount aside for America, keep it in hand for now. Next, since we already know the amount of cash, let's look at how much gold America actually has. The US claims to have over 8,000 tons of gold stored at Fort Knox, right? We'll convert that into ounces because the price is calculated per ounce. The United States has a total of 261,498,926 ounces of gold. Troy ounces. But the price isn't the current market price, because the book value, or the price recorded in the accounts, is only about $11 billion. So if you take $11,041,059,957 and divide it by the total gold amount of 261,498,926 troy ounces, that means the United States values its gold at book value based on an average gold price of only $42.22 per ounce. But today's price isn't $42 per ounce at all. Today's price is about $3,300 per troy ounce. So if the United States were to change the way it calculates its accounting just a little bit, all 261 million troy ounces of gold would see their value increase dramatically. That's about $860 billion. Basically, you take 261,498,926 troy ounces and multiply it by the new price. Instead of multiplying by $42.22, you multiply by $3,300 per ounce. That gives you a figure of about $860 billion. But even if the United States adjusts its accounting method, it still doesn't match the total amount of dollars out there. Or, in other words, even with gold valued at $860 billion, that's still only about 1/3 of the currency in circulation in the United States, or the total amount of money circulating in the US. So, if the United States wanted to back the dollar with gold at 100%, meaning they would need to have gold valued at $2.365 trillion, right? So, let's take the amount of gold the US has and divide it. Take $2.365 trillion and divide it by the amount of gold, which is 261,498,926 troy ounces. Essentially, what that means is gold would have to be valued at a staggering price of $9,044 per troy ounce for the United States to be able to back every single dollar with gold at 100%. Welcome back to the world of the gold standard. At $9,044 per troy ounce, if it climbs just a little bit more, it'll hit $10,000. Sure, it can be done, but when you see numbers like this, there are always people who'll say, hey, that's impossible. If gold prices go that high, won't the dollar become worthless? America would never agree to that. Because if the price of gold jumps from the current $3,300 per troy ounce to $10,000 per troy ounce, that would mean the value of the dollar would have to drop by 66%. If the dollar falls that much, the question is, would the United States lose out? Of course, there would definitely be some losses. America would take a big hit. But what benefit does the United States get from this? If the dollar loses 66% of its value, a huge chunk of its debt would basically disappear. Not bad, right? Just kidding, just kidding. They probably don't really think like that. Now, let's get back to the value of the dollar. This is the result of President Donald Trump's administration celebrating its 100th day in office. He managed to make the dollar drop more than ever before in history. Since taking office, the dollar has already dropped by 9.2%. This raises some suspicions. Could it be that the Trump administration actually planned to let the dollar fall significantly so they could use gold to back the dollar? If you look back not too long ago, just this past February 2025, Donald Trump and his team spread news about going to inspect America's 8,000 tons of gold at Fort Knox, right? I even made a video about it. You can watch it. And after that, the whole Fort Knox story just went quiet. Instead, the focus shifted dramatically to the issue of US trade tariffs. So, is it possible that Donald Trump actually intended to weaken the dollar and deliberately planned to buy a large amount of gold into the US reserves, using the trade tariff news as a way to buy time? Because, according to what Donald Trump posted on social media on April 20th, the golden rule of negotiation is whoever has the gold wins. If we go by this rule, then the United States would definitely be the winner, because when it comes to the amount of gold held by countries around the world, the US has more than double the gold of the country in second place. The United States holds up to 8,000 tons of gold. So when Donald Trump announced trade tariffs affecting 185 countries around the world in a single day, do you remember how he threw out those huge numbers? And then he said that he gave every country just 10 days to reduce their tariffs to only 10%, and then called all the countries to the negotiating table. Is this what might lead to what's being called the Mar-a-Lago Summit? It would be a negotiation between the United States and many other countries about trade tariffs, which seems likely. But it's also possible that there could be discussions about changing global monetary policy. This is just speculation, okay? I'm not saying it's actually happening. In my opinion, honestly, if the United States really were to change global monetary policy back to the gold standard, that would actually be a good thing. Do you know why? because the world during its most prosperous times, whether in arts, culture, economy, or trade, was at its peak and most peaceful when it was under the gold standard. Back then, using gold to back currency would return money to the hands of the people in a real way. But I have to say, going back to that system, the beginning would be extremely painful, like a deep, heart-wrenching surgery, as if you were cutting out cancer from the global financial system. However, everything I've talked about in this video is just about possibilities and about how the United States might use different ways of calculating things to make the gold standard possible. I'm not making any definitive claims here about whether this is true or not. Don't watch this video and then rush out to buy gold, because I can tell you there's another strong opinion out there saying that gold had already peaked.